We're at the very end of Goldie from the Puppy Place series by Ellen Miles, published by Scholastic. I'm Miss Melissa at the Oosterhout Free Library, where we have several more Puppy Place books and even more online at our free cloud library app. We also have a book about golden retrievers if you've enjoyed this story of Goldie. Now, they're showing Goldie to Sammy's parents. They want Sammy's parents to adopt her. Sammy's mom and dad looked at each other. "Okay," said his dad, leaning back on the couch. "Let's see this perfect dog perform." Lizzie was first. "Here, Goldie," she called, and Goldie came trotting right over to her. "Goldie, sit," Lizzie said. Goldie sat. Sammy's mom clapped her hands. "Excellent!" she cheered. Next, Sammy called Goldie. When she came, he praised her. Then he said, "Goldie, down." Goldie lay down, her eyes on Sammy's face. That made Charles feel a little jealous, but he was also proud of Goldie. "Good," said Sammy's dad. "That really was pretty good." Then Charles called Goldie. "Goldie, here," he said with a big smile. He had a good feeling about the way this was going. Goldie started to run over to Charles, but on her way, she stopped on a pretty rug under the piano. She sniffed, she squatted, she peed. "Oh," Sammy's father groaned. His mother sighed. "This is exactly what I was talking about," Sammy's father said. "But Dad," Sammy said, "she really is housebroken. I don't know what happened." "What happened is that she's a puppy," his dad said tiredly. "Puppies make mistakes. It's not her fault. But this is just the kind of thing that I don't want to deal with." Lizzie picked Goldie up and took her outside. Sammy's mom ran to the kitchen and came back with some paper towels. Charles just sat there feeling awful. They had tried so hard. Goldie had tried so hard, and now everything was ruined. Instead of living right next door, Goldie was going to live far away with some perfect family in their perfect country home. He would never see her again, never feel her sweet puppy breath on his face, never get another puppy hug from her little paws, never see her grow into a happy, healthy puppy. Sammy's father was shaking his head. "We went through it all with Rufus," he said. "Remember our wedding?" he asked Sammy's mom. She thought for a second and laughed. "What's so funny?" Sammy asked. "Rufus was in our wedding," his mom explained. "He was our ring bearer. Our wedding rings were tied to his collar with white ribbon, and he was supposed to sit there quietly until the moment came when the minister said we should exchange rings." She started to laugh. "Instead, he tore up and down the aisles of the church, barking and chasing his tail and chewing the maid of honor's bouquet. And then, right in front of everybody, she peed on my shoe," Sammy's dad added. He was laughing so hard that Charles could hardly understand him. "What a moment!" He shook his head. Then he stopped laughing, and a sad look came into his eyes. "Good old Rufus," he said. "He used to be quite a dog." Sammy's father reached out to hold hands with Sammy's mom. Suddenly Charles had an idea. Rufus was still quite a dog when he was with Goldie. So far, Sammy's parents had not seen the two of them together. That's why Sammy's family needed Goldie, for Rufus. Charles looked over at Sammy. "Get Rufus," he whispered. Sammy raised his eyebrows. "Why?" he whispered back. "Just get him." Suddenly, Sammy nodded. He understood. He jumped to his feet and ran for the den. A second later, Rufus plodded into the living room. By then, Lizzie had returned with Goldie. When Rufus saw Goldie, his eyes brightened and his ears went up. His tail started wagging. He woofed a little woof and bowed down with his front paws way out in front. Goldie was overjoyed. Her friend! What a great surprise! It had been so long since she had seen him. Oh, happy, happy, happy! Goldie bounced out of Lizzie's arms and touched nose with Rufus. Then she gave him a look that said, "Chase me!" She took off, zooming around the coffee table and running behind the couch. Rufus took off after her, woofing happily as he skidded past Sammy's parents. "Whoa!" said Sammy's father. "I haven't seen him look that happy in months," said Sammy's mother. Sammy's dad watched Rufus let Goldie chase him into the front hallway. "He's acting like a puppy," he said wonderingly. "He always does when Goldie's around," said Sammy. "That's why we think she should come and live with us." Sammy's parents didn't say anything for a few minutes. They just laughed and pointed as Rufus and Goldie wrestled on the floor by their feet. "So?" Charles finally asked. "What do you think?" "I think," said Sammy's father, "that if Goldie makes Rufus this happy, maybe a few puddles here and there would be a small price to pay. It's good to see the old guy playing again." "Does that mean—" Charles could hardly believe it. Sammy's mom looked at Sammy's dad. Then she nodded. "I think it means you found a new home for Goldie," she said. "She's going to be your neighbor." That night the Petersons celebrated with pizza. Pepperoni for Charles, olives for Lizzie, and extra cheese for the bean. It was great to know that Goldie would be living right next door. "I have to admit you kids really did a great job with Goldie," Mom said. "Plus, you kept your side of the deal. Lizzie, you kept up with your homework. And Charles, your room is cleaner than I've ever seen it. I'm proud of both of you." "So does that mean we get our own puppy soon?" Charles asked. "We'll see," said Mom. "It does seem awfully quiet around here without a puppy in the house." Charles wasn't sure whether she thought that was a good or bad thing. He decided not to push it. "I felt sorry for that family with the 3 kids," he said. "They really wanted a dog, too." "But Goldie went to the right home," Lizzie said. "Did you see how happy Sammy's parents looked? And Rufus was like a whole new dog." "Plus," said Charles around a mouthful of pizza, "we get to see Goldie every day." "Woof!" said the bean from his spot on the floor next to Charles. "Maybe we could foster another puppy someday," Charles suggested, "even if we're not ready for a dog of our own." Said Dad. "Not a bad idea." "It's a great idea," said Lizzie. "Woof!" agreed the bean. Even Mom was nodding. "Well, I guess we do have some leftover puppy food. I'd hate to see that go to waste." Charles imagined puppies of every size and breed, from giant Great Danes to teeny tiny Chihuahuas. He wondered what kind of puppy the Petersons would foster next. But he knew it really didn't matter. All puppies were wonderful. Whatever kind the next one was, he would love it and take care of it and find it the very best home. And maybe someday, if he was lucky, that home would be his own. Puppy tips from the back of the book. Lizzie and Charles had the right idea when they decided to socialize Goldie. Every dog should learn to be comfortable with people and other dogs. Plus, what could be more fun than watching your best friend play with his or her buddies? But when puppies are very young, they should only play with dogs you know. A puppy that hasn't had its final puppy shots, this usually happens when the puppy is 12 weeks old, could get sick if it plays with a dog that hasn't had all of its shots. And unless you know the dog and its owner, you can't be sure that a dog is healthy. Charles and Lizzie knew that Sammy's family takes great care of Rufus, so they knew it was safe for Goldie to play with him. Ask your vet for more information about this, or any other questions you might have about raising a puppy. And if reading about dogs makes you think that you might like to be a veterinarian, we have books on that too here at the Oosterhout Free Library. We'll be starting a new book soon.